Who is Seminole County Supervisor of Elections? Chris Anderson.
Welcome to another episode of You Can't Make This Shit Up. Your host, David Washington, Joel Hoxley, and special guest, Seminole County Supervisor of Elections, Chris Anderson. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being there.
We appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you don't get to Orange County very often. So you came over the line to be with us. So talk about who Chris Anderson is real quick, because some people may not know you as well, because you're behind the papers that are being counted and everything.
Alex.
So who is Chris Anderson?
Oh yeah, that's a great question, an easy question to ask. Man of God, man that loves his wife and his children, and is a complete public servant at heart. You know, my whole career has been serving my country, serving my community in various aspects. So it's truly a public servant. I care about the things that I care about, and when I'm in it to win it.
Excellent.
Cool.
I think one of the things that is always on the national agenda or the attention of Americans across the country, and it should be also here in Florida, in Seminole County too, is our votes in November and August. Is it protected? The integrity of our elections. Do you see, and as the Supervisor of Elections, I think I already know the answer to this. Do you see any issues facing the vote in November?
Turnout. People need to vote. The most important thing you have in your wallet is your voter information card. Your vote is your voice. Your vote determines who's going to be making decisions on your behalf when you're going about your day. Mm-hmm. So the most important thing that you own is your right to vote, and not exercising it, and give you that a perspective on in August elections, which is the Florida primary. 75% of the voting population in Seminole County and most counties throughout the state do not participate in elections. 5%. So I never say it's a 25% turnout. I tell you who doesn't show up. And that seems to hit different, right? It hits in a way that makes you say, wow, well, what's taking place in August? You know, we've heard all these things about book banning and school board races and all these things, right? Well, school board is elected in August. If you get a speeding ticket and the judge gives you a $500 speeding ticket and you're not happy with that, or they rule against you in some way that you may disagree with, well, most likely that judicial person got there. Not most likely, they are elected in August.
Correct.
A lot of your city commissioners are elected in August. So the August Florida primary is extremely important to the electorate. And it really is, you know, you've got 25% making a decision for the majority.
Correct.
Well, we've had that conversation. We use Orlando all the time as their elections off cycle. But the question really that goes to heart is, you know, if I'm a non-party affiliate, we'll use the word an NPA several times. So I want you to know that's a non-party affiliate. If I'm an NPA and I want to participate, do I have to get in a party here in Florida, or can I just go to my polls in August?
So the answer to the question is twofold. If you want to participate, Florida's a closed primary state. If you want to participate in party affiliated races, then you have to be a member of that party. However, in August, if you're not a party affiliated voter or a member of those parties, you still have a ballot available to you. Those races we just talked about, judicial and school board, those available to all voters, regardless of your party affiliation. So if you are an NPA and no party affiliated voter, those nonpartisan races, which are most of your school, or not school board, but your city commissioner races, they're still available to you. So there are still things for you to vote on, even though you may not be a part of those races. Okay. If you want to participate in those races that are party affiliated, 29 days prior to the election is a deadline for you to change your party affiliation to participate in those party races.
Okay. Going back to the 75% who are not engaged to vote. I shouldn't put it that way, who don't vote. Mm-hmm. Many of them are young people. What is it about young people that they don't vote? And is there a role for the Supervisor of Elections office to engage them a little bit more to encourage them to come out to vote?
Well, so the way I give this analogy all the time, people buy a ticket to see Taylor Swift, not the arena she's in. Right.
Good point.
That's the first point I make. The second thing is when you're talking about young people, they're not engaged yet with society on many different levels. You're wanting them to talk about wanting them to care about school board races. Well, they may not have children at all.
Correct.
So now that's a non-starter, non-issue for them. City commissioners or primary elections involving county commissioners or even state reps or congressmen and women, if they don't own a home, right, they're not affected by the insurance crisis or the millage rate. So young people are typically not involved because they're not involved. It's not until you start paying them taxes and
you become Republican.
Yeah. Right?
It hits differently.
Then your perspective changes because now, once I go back to that wallet again, once your wallet is impacted, which is where most people, regardless of their party affiliation, will vote from the most of the time. Once that's impacted, then they start paying a little bit more attention to what's going on around them. And that's just a perspective that a lot of young people have. Wow. But they need to understand that you're not just voting for right now, because these individuals that are in office, they're going to be there they can be there in some cases for as long as they want to be.
That's true.
Which includes your time as you raise children and own homes.
That's right.
Wow. That is impactful. So I asked one of your opponents a question about the vitriol. I'm a Republican, and I'm around all this like tense vitriol. She had to deal with it in her way. You have to deal with it in your way, because there are still people today that keep saying that that the system was broke, and I'm one that trusts Chris Anderson's, Supervisor of Elections, but they've been challenging you. What do you say? What do you say to your own party when they start coming after you?
Well, the first thing I do is I always approach them from a place of love.
Okay.
Right. And understand where they're coming from. When we talk about this word fraud, I was a law enforcement officer for over a decade, 13 plus years. I was a major crimes investigator. I've investigated homicides and fraud cases, many hundreds of thousands of dollars. People are experiencing fraud in a lot of areas in their life. They saw their checking accounts wiped out because somebody spoofed their credit card when they went to the gas station. They got a phone call saying that that someone was arrested and that they needed to go down to the nearest Bitcoin ATM. So when they come to me, my colleagues, and say, hey, well, you're telling me that fraud is not in voting, but it's in literally scamming me every other place. Yeah. In my emails, everywhere that I am, I take a very different approach to them, and I educate, right? I don't debate, I educate. And like, come in. One of the things that I did when I first came into office is I established the Elections Academy. Mm-hmm. We educated individuals on the entire process. We pulled the curtain back, and we literally spent 8 weeks explaining to them all the processes that go in to keeping your vote safe and the things that we do to protect it. Am I going to tell you that they're 100% that there is no such thing as voter fraud? I can't do that, because there is no absolute in anything in life.
Right. True.
You trust your bank. Yet the banks experience frauds on an astronomical level that you're not even aware of.
Right.
That's one of the things. I give them a perspective to say, do you know that there's fraud happening right now in your bank, and you still have your money there? Your 401k is sitting there, right? But then I give them that perspective to say, let me explain to you the political currency and how it actually works, and what we do to keep your vote safe. And we're actually going to do the Elections Academy again this year.
Okay.
And we're going to make it in an online format. That way people can attend virtually. And now we can allow more people to be involved. And I'm excited to announce that, because I educate, because people attack things that they don't necessarily know about, but they have concerns about. And once you address them, we created several ambassadors for the office that will, Hillary Corson went through the course. They had legitimate concerns.
Yep.
Once we addressed them, we literally changed their perspective, and now they'll go harder for the office than anyone else there.
Right. That's good.
We really pulled the curtain back
Absolutely.
on the process. And when you have that level of transparency, it builds trust.
It changes the game.
And people
It
believe
really
in the
does.
system.
Yeah.
And your background, military, law enforcement, in my opinion, if I was a Seminole County voter, I would feel that much more proud that you're there, and also the fact that you bring that experience, and that my vote is secure.
Yeah.
There's voter integrity.
I have the experience to know how to keep things safe. We made so many physical and security enhancements. We're going to enclose the lobby area. We've added access control, limited access to certain employees. We upgraded our site. $500,000 of tax dollars is spent from our budget in physical and cybersecurity. That is an increase to all election officers' budgets because a lot of it is required by law now.
That's correct.
Some of the things we were doing before became required, but as technology gets involved, you have to protect it. And your election officers are spending quite a bit of money, both physical and on the cyber side, to protect your vote.
I have two questions, kind of.
Shoot it.
First of all, the presidential preference primary is an interest of mine, because a lot of dollars sunk in there, and I personally was disappointed in turnout because I got to the polls at 8:15. I was the second person voting.
Yeah.
I'm never that late, but that was disappointing, and the amount of money that was spent on that campaign. But that's where I'm going with this is, what do you think? Was the turnout disappointing or?
The turnout was considerably low. And to put it in full context, only one party could vote. So, 2/3 of the voting population, they weren't even eligible. So I will tell you that we had a very high vote by mail turnout, though. I mean, we had about a 61% turnout in vote by mail.
Well, that's good, especially with Republicans.
Yeah, that was very interesting to me. A lot higher than what I had guessed in my own mind. So, from that perspective, but all around, yes, we had 23,006 ballots cast in the preference in Seminole County. And, it's an election specific to the parties. I would say that it would be something that I would encourage the state to take a look at from a dollars and cents perspective, that maybe we need to ask
the parties need to pay the money. Maybe, but that's exactly what I was thinking.
They need to do it. In some states, they do it. And that's the difference between a caucus and an election. Caucuses are handled by the parties.
That's right.
Elections are handled by us. And I understand why they want us to do it maybe from a third party perspective, but it's expensive and it's very time consuming to run an election. In Seminole County, it probably costs about $500,000. So you're talking $500,000 per election to run it, because we had to budget as though, remember, the budget was done in May of 2023.
Right.
So we didn't know that two parties weren't going to be involved.
And you still have to open every single.
You still have to open up all the precincts, all
Exactly.
early voting sites. It costs $1,000 a day to run an early voting site. You have to hire all the election workers. You have to train all of them. So it's an intense cost that I would say the cost analysis on it may say, you know, it's time probably for the parties to kind of take their own races on and you know, let the elections office deal with elections that affect the electorate.
Well, the next question is the thing that the unprecedented. I have to ask the unprecedented choice that you made for that election. Shocked a lot of people.
Yeah,
but you did it, and you stood by the endorsement, and
sure.
Just kind of want to hear, you know, where is that going? Because like that was incredible.
It can't go anywhere. I gave people another perspective. You know, I'm very good about giving. At least you know where I'm at.
That's true.
Always understand that you want to know when you know where someone's at, you can handle and deal with them better. It's the people that play the cloak and dagger, that sit on the fence. I'm not one of those individuals. At least you know where I'm at. But let's judge the body of work. The body of work says that Chris has done everything he could and can do to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to the ballot. When in 2022, when we had low turnout in Central Florida, Chris and I called the press conference along with all the other elected supervisor of elections in the Central Florida area, and encouraged everyone to get out to the polls to vote and to not wait. And I'm standing there with Democrats and Republicans just because of what I choose. I don't ever put that on someone else to choose. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to punish someone who doesn't see things differently. The beautiful thing about being an American and being in this country is you have that freedom of your choice. But what we don't have the freedom to do is block other people out based on what they choose. Yeah. We all get a ballot. We all have a right to make our choices and be heard. I made my choice, and that's mine. That doesn't mean that I'm going to stifle someone else's if they choose differently. Or if that person's not successful, I'm going to feel some type of way about it. Okay. That's the American spirit right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody had already pulled out of the race. So, I mean,
it
wasn't like you were doing anything wrong.
It was like,
hey, the only person on the ballot is Donald Trump. I mean, I might as well.
Just joking. I mean, everybody. Yeah. When I said it, you know, for what it's worth, which it doesn't matter. And I'm pretty sure that he's not even aware that actually happened. No one else was in the race. It's like, well, you basically chose the only vehicle that was in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like
common sense.
It's like kind of like, well, it's not like he pitted something against something else.
No, that's the first thing that went in my mind was, look, the battles that I've heard about the battles because I go to the Seminole County Republican Executive Committee and I listen to their voter integrity group, and I sit there and I get really frustrated because I think that they try to create more problems than they actually exist. But the fight, like, why are we fighting all the time? So it's basically, oh, the commissioners don't show up for it. Well, they don't show up for the canvassing board because they've endorsed or they don't feel they've done something that puts them on. So they ask to be removed, you know?
Right.
So I think almost to me, I said, well, he just showed you right there that he can do it too.
Yeah. So, you have Democrats that sit on the canvassing board because of recommendations that I've made. I seek bipartisanship in everything that we do. We staff our precincts bipartisan. I am documented in saying I need Democrats and Republicans and everything in between to make an election happen. I testified to 118th Congress. I told them the exact same thing. People, they make elections safe and secure. So my actions, my words have lived up to what I do. And, you know, as far as as far as the vitriol is concerned, I always remind people of another perspective, which is there are foreign adversaries that are enjoying the behavior that we are displaying.
I can believe that.
There are people that want to see this country fail. the longest democracy to survive in the world is 250 years, if I understand correctly. We're at 248.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to pass that mark, we have to set aside so much of the partisanship and remember as Americans that we are the things that bind us together will always be more than anything that separates us. Mm. And to move forward, we're going to have to find that common ground and connect with each other in a way that we all want safe streets, clean water, and a clean environment. We want, low taxes. We want all these things. How do we get there and hold each other accountable to making sure that happens, rather than always looking for the horse race, winning and losing?
Right. Good point. Going back to the Election Academy, is it open to young people? We are associates that work with us. They're UCF students or graduates, and a lot of them, they come to us and they're like, "Wow, there's so many fascinating things about politics that they did not know, particularly about elections." I love the idea of the Election Academy. Is that open to the young people, and is there an effort to get them more involved?
I will tell you who it's not open to, and that's political candidates.
Okay.
Right. And we do a very good job of, again, we balance out the class. So there's not one party dominating the other.
Sure.
Right. Because that you want to be fair all the way around, but it's not available to candidates because we don't want that place to become a place for political grandstanding.
Right.
This is knowledge based. This is education based for voters. You want a campaign, you take that to your campaign, take that elsewhere.
Right.
So it's not available to candidates. It's available to anyone who lives in Seminole County, has a concern, and wants to learn about the process, which I will tell you is not exciting. It's not riveting. Sure. It's not like the sheriff's office, Kalia Academy, where you get to go hang out and, get on the tank and all that kind of stuff. The most exciting thing maybe is the equipment.
Right.
We do something kind of cool, which is we do media night, and we invite the media in, and maybe we'll invite you guys in because this is kind of a cool setting, right?
Yes,
and you can grill the students on questions, and we'll help you with formulating those tough questions.
Nice.
Because it's really cool for them to utilize the knowledge that they've gained to answer questions, and that was so rewarding for me that they were able to stay in the fight. They took their knowledge. They were able to answer the tough questions. They get to be the supervisor of elections. And that's how I know it locked in. Like they got it. Right.
I appreciate
it. It was really cool. That's probably my most favorite part, other than them seeing the receipt that comes from the DS200. They're like, oh, there's a paper receipt and they were like rubbing on it.
There is a paper trail.
There's a paper trail.
Always.
But that was what it took for that student to feel secure.
Right.
She didn't know it. And she was like, the minute she saw, she could have left right then. She didn't need anything else because that's the one thing. So each student is going to find something that they needed to give them the reassurance that things are on the up and up. And listen, Florida, we're the gold standard of elections now, but we weren't always.
True.
And there are some states in this country that got to do better. They need to improve.
Hey, the year I retired was 2000, and I came to Florida, so I can attest to that. So,
absolutely.
I mean, we have a great mail-in ballot system.
Yep,
one of the best in the entire country. And I'm glad to see 61% of the ballots that came in. Good job, Republicans, because that's very important to me. If I want that, I have to order it now because I can only last a year now.
That's
well, no, it's every 2 years. So
every 2 years.
It's after each general election.
Okay, so after each general election.
So you'll do it again in next year. You'll do it then it'll end for 26, and then you'll do it in 27, and so on and so forth. So it's after each general election.
Okay,
nice,
very good.
So what's the most challenging thing? What is the most challenging thing for you each time you go in the office?
I would say the challenge is polling places. and Spanish-speaking election workers.
Mm.
That is, you talk about the vitriol. You talk about the fighting, political fighting that's taking place. A lot of polling locations don't want to be involved. The Archdiocese, the Catholic Church, after 2020, said nope.
Wow.
No polling location. We don't want to be a polling location anywhere in the state of Florida. That hurt Orange County. That hurt all 67 counties. And most of the bigger counties got hurt the most because there's more churches in those counties than there are in the smaller counties.
Correct.
Right. So trying to go and get a polling location, right? And people are like, I don't know. I don't know if I want those people out front. They leave their trash behind. We got to be here super early to open up. And then if they do it, like what happened to us after the preference, we talk about the cost. We had people that we didn't necessarily go into agreement with to pay, because we've always had to pay some of our polling locations.
Right.
Just send us an invoice.
Right.
Or now they want more money. And what are we going to say? Right? If we agreed on 250 and now they want 300, well, it costs about 3,000 to send out a change notice if your polling location changed, because we have to do that. So the cost, I still have to my hands are tied behind my back.
I would tell Mr. Anderson, I have the solution for this, and Tallahassee has the solution for this.
What's that?
It's make it a holiday, open the schools, make those schools available. That way the public buildings are available and we can actually get things done. We don't have to worry about that poor church or that, that little location out there, or you just had to make sure that everybody who was going to go to Wurz Park had to go someplace else because they tore the dang thing down. Or it's in 59. 59 is in 58, and 58 is in 58.
And the struggle is you got that small area, right? And what you're trying to do is the ideal thing is in that small geographical area in that precinct, you want to place it in the middle. So everybody has an equal distance to travel there, right? Mm-hmm. But that is not always the case because the map doesn't fit the map, right? You know what I mean? So it just doesn't work. And then with the election workers, finding a Spanish-speaking election worker to be in every precinct, I've got 82, Orange County is at like 259 plus, but Brevard is at 358, that read and write English is a challenge. So now you have to find somebody who's available on a random Tuesday that speaks Spanish, that can read and write English, that will attend the training and show. That is a challenge. That is difficult.
And spend 14 hours with you for a whole day.
And then, available. Yeah, that's a challenge. I will tell you that's very difficult.
Do you have to be a voting age 18 and up?
Great question. You're going to allow me to put the plug in. If you want to be an election worker, go to voteseminole.gov, click on election worker. You can fill out the very easy form. It's a paid position. You get paid. Your pay includes your training. And we have 4 positions that are available. And you can be 16 or older. So if you're 16 or 17, you are pre-registered to vote. That's the key, right? You have the pre-registrars can serve as election workers. And even, if you live in Orange County, but let's say you want to serve in Dade County, you can do that on what the statute calls the election board, is what it's statutorily called. You can serve as the person that's outside, which is the deputy. So if you're a registered voter in Florida, I have election workers who work in Orange County. They are deputies in Orange, but they work inside the precinct in Seminole County because they're registered voters in Seminole County. So it's very interesting the way the law is laid out regarding the election board.
Some flexibility.
There is some flexibility there to help us staff it. It's a tall order.
Well, I know he's a social media sensation. So, but you're having a campaign. You have, I think, the most challenging. Maybe the only one challenged out of the.
Sounds about right.
But here's the question: if they want to get involved, if they want to know about your campaign side, how do they get those donations to you? How do they, volunteer to be with your campaign?
The first thing is decisively saying, I don't run against anyone. I run for something. When you look at the body of work that I produced with the help of tons of people in Seminole County. We weren't an award-winning elections office. We are now. We are a nationally award-winning office, and the award we won is for outstanding local elections office. Not
Excellent.
because we were innovative, which we got the year before, because overall we were the best. Seminole County is now on the top of that. I'm bringing those accolades home, making Seminole County proud of their elections office, which is quite frankly what those folks should be discussing on the Election Integrity Board, is the fact that they have an award-winning office now that's been recognized nationally. And looking at the body work of the cybersecurity, I'm the only SOE in the state that's worked with the Florida National Guard Cybersecurity Defense Unit out of St. Augustine. The only other office they worked with was the Department of State. I asked the governor specifically. I went and met with him, said, hey, can I use? He's like, sure, no problem. Because I asked, because I did the research. I've brought home to Seminole County methods of voting now that are more secure, that we're reporting our results more accurately than we've ever done before. And I'm seeking another 4 years to continue that award-winning posture that we seek out at in our office. That is the key to it. You can go to reelectchris.com. You can send me an email at chris@reelect.com. You can get and request yard signs. You can help us knock on doors. You can come and do a TikTok with me, whatever, to continue to get the word out that we're doing award-winning work in Seminole County that benefits not just Seminole County, but the entire state of Florida. And it's something to be proud of, and to distinguish between any candidate running. Chris, I am the person that is always looking to challenge the status quo in an effort to improve the field that I'm in. I'm going to continue to challenge the status quo. Excellent. I promised you that I'd protect your vote last time, and I'm going to protect your vote again.
Incredible. I'm just wondering if David did his research and has a gotcha question for Mr. Anderson. Because
there's no such thing.
No, they're fun. So
throw it in there.
So when you arrived and you were in our green room, I turned on ESPN for you. What's your favorite sport?
Basketball.
Okay. Favorite team?
I was very interesting. I said this to my wife the other night. I'm watching the playoffs. I don't have a team, right? I admire the sport. Okay. I used to back in the day. My team was the Miami Heat.
Okay.
Right, and I kind of just gravitated away from the Heat having been as successful as I'd like them to be. And I'm always going to be a Heat fan, right? Just like I'm a Bucks fan in football. So
okay.
I keep it here in Florida, and I can't live in Seminole County and not be a Knowles fan, right? So, but basketball is definitely my favorite sport. I can't play it anymore.
Is that the Miami Heat before LeBron?
Yeah, before LeBron.
Okay,
yeah, before LeBron, when Dwayne was there, right? Just before, and Shaq, right?
When Dwayne was working his ass off to try to get things
just
done
to get
by himself,
to lose in the Eastern Conference playoffs to the Detroit Pistons, and then come back the next year and win. So I don't jump on the bandwagon, right? I'm tried and true, but right now I'm just admiring the sport. Like I'm looking at all these guys playing ball. I'm a fan of the players. Like Anthony Edwards is really right now. I'm looking at his basketball level, and it's just going to continue to increase. And he's great to watch. The dude's jumping out of the gym right now, right? Yes.
Excellent.
So now I feel bad because I'm watching hockey right now.
It's the playoffs.
I've always thought it was weird that the two playoffs I want to watch are playing at the same time. So, I mean, we had Lightning and Florida Panthers playing. I mean, you can't make this shit up. That's great.
But I got a question for the two of you.
Here we go.
All right. So my question to the two of you is, what do you want to see out of your elected officials? If you could, if there was something that you could,
we say this every day, so go for it, David.
What would we like to see out of our elected officials? More for the public, more transparency. For us professionally, more access. But for the most part, politics is not a priority for many people until we in the politicals, the electeds, the candidates, the influencers, make it a priority during the election cycle. Oh, it's 3 months out, it's 6 months out, it's 18 months out from the election. You see people knocking on doors, you see the television ads and things like that. I would want more interaction, bringing more of what an elected does behind the dais, behind the supervisor's doors. Bring it to the people more interaction. That's why I like the elections academy. I love things like that. I would personally find it incredibly useful and knowledgeable. I know that this Ninth Circuit has something similar where they bring in the public to get to know the judges and what they do, and they do that with some of the younger people too. So I think definitely more transparency, engagement, and then professionally more access.
Well, for me, it's simply come join Jay in Washington in our Leadership Academy. Get people involved where they understand how to vote the bottom of the ticket up. Be accessible, not just when you're running for office, but be accessible all the time. Like I've seen with some school board members, where I've seen you out in the schools. I see a picture of you having children actually voting machines, right? You got to be there. And that's what I want to see. I want to see, when I go to your event, I want to see more, diversity, like different people, not diversity as in color and nationality, but you have the same people at every single event. How do you feel when you're running for office and you have to look at the same people every time? Yeah, you invite me, I'm coming, but I want to bring somebody with me, because I think that's where we're failing, is to be there when we're not running.
It's a very good. Those, I asked that question because you can't improve if you don't know. You know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know.
That's true.
And I believe campaigning is really more about listening to the voters' concern rather than going around telling everyone how great you are. That's a failure that candidates make, is that they like to go around and say, I have the doctorate degree, I have this, I have that. They go around and say, I'm trusted. Who told you that?
Mm-hmm.
Who gave you that? Who have you shown it? Like, that's why it's very important that, my point is always in campaigning is, what do you want from me? How can I get better? And that I'm listening rather than telling you that you should just choose me because I think I'm the best.
I think you and I've had this conversation in the past where I don't necessarily, if you say I am not paying attention. But if you say we, that makes me feel like I'm part of it. So you have a we mentality.
That's it.
And that's really important. So, yeah, I mean,
because we didn't get here alone.
Right.
It was a collective to get us all here.
Yes.
We are, and we will rise and fall together.
Yeah. Well, like the Army, both veterans,
right. Cool.
It's when they went with Army of One, veterans kind of looked and went, we're not an army of one. We're one as an army.
Right.
So they're back to be all you can be.
Be all you can be.
So
that's it. Excellent.
I just want to say thank you very much for being here. This is exactly what people need to hear. Hopefully you can get us on your virals, and we'll be
absolutely.
And we'll be excited. We'll be excited. And David?
I want to say I do forgive the Miami Heat for defeating the Chicago Bulls in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's my team, the Bulls.
The Bulls.
Jordan years.
Hey, listen, Jordan is the GOAT.
Yes, indeed.
Jordan is the GOAT.
Jordan just won his first NASCAR race last week.
Yes, he did.
Okay. Yes, he did with Reddick.
He is a winner, man.
And he bought another house here in Florida, too.
That's right.
He's a winner because he knew that basketball was a team sport.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that and he'll tell you, he missed more shots than he made.
That's true.
But, I always point to, I had a meeting with my team on December 4th, and I told them something. And I'm going to leave y'all with this. You have to be all in. And that's the only thing I will ever say to a voter is I'm all in. It means I'm willing to be there late at night, willing to show up early. I'm willing to be misunderstood. I'm willing to go it alone, and I'm willing to be all in. What it takes to be all in is those types of sacrifices. And, you know, I'm very fortunate to have a great wife and kids that support the endeavors. But, you know, if there's anything left from this, when I speak here today and look forward to coming back, is that I want everyone to know that I'm all in.
Excellent. We'd love to have you back.
Well, Seminole County residents, your Supervisor of Elections is all in. Thank you very much. You can't make this shit up. Please like, share, and make sure that you comment.